For a long time, our political class has been infected by corrupt crony establishment. They've sold us out to major international interests, corporations, offshore money.
Yep.
And now it's really difficult to figure out how to solve the problem. Well, I do believe Trump is trying.
Yep.
I do think he's an outsider. I think he, again, I can say it a million times, character defects. But you look at the guy, and he's very clearly not part of whatever it is these people were doing.
No, and he has a degree in economics. Like he can see the money side that's leaving America, that's making us weaker. Oh, slowly but surely, but it's happening.
It's not even about that.
I mean, it is about that.
Right. But
yes.
My point is specifically, in Trump's mind, he wants America to be the best. In the mind of our establishment political class, they want to make money at the expense of literally anybody to get it.
Anything. Yep.
And so Trump has been essentially purging the Republican Party. So you had these two big populists. You had Bernie and you had Trump. Trump won.
Yep.
He wasn't supposed to win, but he did. Trump was able to shut down the establishment on the Republican side and win. And then we saw a wave of Republicans retiring. These establishment dudes were backing away.
Yep.
And that was a vulnerability for the right-wing populists because it opened up the door for Democrats to try and take some of these seats. But now we're starting to see more populist, legit Republicans, people like Sean Parnell, for instance.
Sean Parnell's the first one that popped in my head.
Exactly. Seems like a legit dude.
Yep.
And on the left, you're seeing a lot of progressive, grassroots-style Democrats who are trying to primary their opponents. Well, I certainly disagree with their politics, but there's a part of me that I'm very much like crooked, corrupt class that's extracting all of our resources and giving it to a foreign country. Mm-hmm. Idealistic and kind of crazy activist. They're both really bad, and I wouldn't choose either of them if I had a choice.
Yeah.
But I think the crony, corrupt class has exploited us and extracted our nation, and we got to get rid of it.
Agreed.
I'm all in favor of can we just vote out every incumbent, period?
That would be wonderful.
And at this point now, I really don't mean every. Maybe 10 years ago, I was like, get rid of him. Mm-hmm. But, I like Ron Paul when he was in office. I disagree with a lot of what Ron Paul says. But he was a very, very libertarian Dr. No. He's like, no, don't do it. No. And same thing is true with Rand Paul. Rand Paul recently wrote an op-ed about demilitarizing the police.
Right.
I actually disagree with how he's framed things, but I agree with him more than I disagree with him.
Okay.
But to look at what's going on in Portland and say, oh no, it's so evil, we must defund this. I'm like, well, hold on. Riot control in defense of a courthouse, in my opinion, is not secret police blackbagging people in the middle of the night and renditioning them offshore.
Agreed.
I do believe demilitarizing the police. I agree. What does that really mean, though?
Right.
So he's talked about how they're getting, it's basically what happens is you actually have military tech being hand-me-down to local departments. And I don't necessarily think that we need to just get rid of all of the stuff they have. We definitely don't need to keep giving them APC style, and stuff vehicles. But we've got great local defense. No one's ever going to invade this country, huh?
That's a good point.
So the issue is less so that they have it and more so the constraints and the oversight. So as the chaos escalates in Portland, I imagine what would happen if the feds didn't have the riot control stuff they did have? Would the building just be burnt down and we'd go, no, build it again?
Yeah. And all the court documents that were in there would be lost.
Court cases, evidence, people's work, people's computers, emails, correspondence, just destroyed.
Precisely.
So it's a tough question. But anyway, more to the point when it comes to the political class, I think Rand Paul's great. I think Matt Gaetz is pretty good. I like Tulsi, but Tulsi's basically retiring anyway. And then you've got now potentially Sean Parnell could win and take a seat from a Democrat. We'll see what happens there.
I also want to give a shout out to Billy Prempe
that's right.
of New Jersey. He's got a wonderful platform. I 100% agree with.
Isn't he for pot legalization?
Yeah, I think that's
he's a Republican.
But he's a Republican that has a lot of good ideas, and he's a younger man, and that's what we need. We need newer, younger generation getting involved for the future.
He's in North Jersey, I think.
Yeah, right? I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember we were talking about him.
District
Billy Prempe.
The ninth congressional district.
Yeah. You guys should check him out and Sean Parnell.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I've donated to Sean Parnell and Billy Prempe because you mentioned that. And the reason for that is, to be honest, I donated to way more Democrats than Republicans.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it and I was like, at this point, I think it would be fair if I think these people for anti-war reasons were worth supporting, that's not very fence-sitter of me to not find someone I might think is going to do a good job on the Republican side. And even to this day, I've given more to Democrats.
Yep.
So, but I do think those guys are both, pretty rad. So that's what we need.
Yep.
We need to get rid of these people who got into office hoping to get a lobbyist job
50 years ago.
Oh, look. You know what I'll tell you? If you've figured out how to become worth $100 million off $174,000 a year, wow. That's amazing. And Trump became a billionaire off $1 million. Yeah, congratulations to those people in Congress who took a six-figure salary and became worth millions of dollars. I wonder how they did that, huh? While they're still in Congress, too.
Don't even get me started on that.
Dude, it is so busted.
Absolutely busted.
Do you see that? I sent Adam the Dylan Radigan rant. Did you watch that?
I did, yeah.
Dylan
Amazing.
Radigan in
2013.
That was when the video was published. I wonder if that's when the video was actually first.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Live.
Yeah, the video was from 2013. I don't know when it is actually from.
Most of you might be aware of the famous Dylan Radigan rant on MSNBC where he rips apart Democrats and Republicans.
It's eye-opening, actually.
He says he's super angry, and this is almost a decade ago, and he's like, they are extracting our nation through banking, through trade, through politics.
Yep.
And he said it.
And that the entire time I was watching it, especially at the end of it, I hit, it came to an end, and I was just like, yeah. That was it. I want Trump to be president for another 4 years. I'm dead serious, and I don't want him to be encumbered by something that isn't true, like the whole Russiagate thing. He is an economist. He went to school. He has a degree in economics. It's like, sure, okay, all of his businesses weren't fully successful, but he had so many businesses, and throughout that, if you look at his business history and you look through the 90s, like that's when he kind of had a rough patch, and he figured it out and he turned it around.
I've got we
need that kind of leadership right now.
I'll tell you my view. Biden is awful.
100% agree with you.
Voting for Biden is restoring the establishment crony class. We got Biden here with us.
Wait a minute.
Apparently.
Listen here, Fat.
You're a
Let me tell you.
Face pony soldier.
Thank you. Yeah.
Here's the deal.
What was I saying?
If you listen,
Go. If you
vote for Biden, you are trying to restore the crony class that was extracting our country and hurting people.
Yep, exactly.
If you vote for Trump, you're getting a rather imperfect man who I believe does love this country and wants to try and fix it.
There's no doubt in my mind that he loves this country. I know his history. His parents, or his mother was an immigrant. She immigrated here from Scotland, and she had nothing. And his grandfather came here with nothing, and they both built businesses. And look where he's at now.
Here's what I want. I want something better than Trump.
Me too.
Right now, considering what we're looking at with Biden, I'm kind of like, oof, I think I'm going to have to vote for Trump. But I also want more than just the president. I want Congress and the Senate. And I don't care what party it is. Mm-hmm. The problem right now is that the young, excited individuals on the Democrat side are like Marxists.
You're right.
And I don't mean that in the pejorative, like, you're a Marxist, you're a commie. I mean, like, many of them are literal Marxists. Mm-hmm. And in the true sense of the word, many of them are democratic socialists, members of the democratic socialists.
Not true communism, Tim.
Well, arguably. But many of them are DSA. Many of them are socialist or democratic socialists, basically the same thing. And I don't want that.
None of those people want to do work for a living. They just want to be handed stuff. That's all I'm seeing. Every single one of them. They just don't want to do the work that is required to be successful in this country. This country allows you to do whatever you want to do, but you got to work for it. And they don't want to work for it.
I think these people have some kind of broken worldview. And I think it's due to... It's society in general's fault. Now, we can go back and analyze how this generation came to think the things they do. Yeah. I don't know if it's a political party's fault, but I will tell you this. Telling a bunch of young people to wake up, go to school every day, come home, then go to high school, and then take out huge loans to go to college was a huge mistake.
To be in debt for half of your life,
so I'll tell you what,
maybe your entire life.
This is why I'm in favor of some kind of loan forgiveness.
Okay.
Because the reason many of these young people don't believe in hard work is because no matter how hard they work, they can't break that chain.
Right.
Listen, man, I'll tell you a story about how much I hate college. When I was in high school, like high school age, I didn't go to high school. I was told, go to college, you have to go to college.
Yeah.
Take out loans if you have to. I read an article from an economist who said it's the stupidest investment possible. What person in their right mind would invest $40,000 for 4 years only to be in debt $40,000 plus interest?
Plus interest.
You tell that to any investor and they're going to laugh at you and say, no, I want a positive return year over year.
Yeah, exactly.
So I said, I won't do it. And it was the right move. I'm unencumbered. But I know a lot of people who were told you have to. I know people who are like, I don't want to, but I have to. My parents are making me. And I'm like, dude, you're 18. You're an adult.
Yep.
Leave. And they were like, you don't understand. They'll kick me out or something like that. I have nowhere to go. So now they go to school. They rack up debt. They work really, really hard. They get out. They can't find work. And in their mind, hard work has never worked for me.
That's a good point.
And so they've been indoctrinated their whole lives to believe hard work doesn't work. Where I was the opposite. I dropped out and I said, I'm not going to go.
Yep.
I'm just going to figure it out and work hard until I get it done. And here I am.
Yep.
They are trapped in this cycle where they're still, to this day, and in their mid-30s, trapped in debt they can't pay off.
That's a good point.
So you know what they do? They say, F the system, give me the commie. The person who's going to forgive all of my debt and break the chain, I will vote for them. So my opinion is we need to break the chain, which means I would like to see some kind of student loan forgiveness that would freeze interest rate, suspend interest rates.
Yep.
You got to pay back the principal. But so what's happening to a lot of these people is you take out $40,000 in debt.
You end up paying like $60,000 over.
More than that.
Probably more. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're
like
right.
a lot more.
Yep.
Because you get deferments, you got COVID, people can't work, they're unemployed. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of all of the interest. You got to pay back what you spent.
Oh, the banks are going to be like, well, we're not going to give anyone anything.
Good.
We're not going to make anything.
Good. Excellent.
I agree.
No
with you.
more. Get rid of. Listen, if you can't afford to go to college, you don't go to college.
Good point.
What world is this? I never understood this. Where it's like buy things you can't afford. That's what they're saying.
That's true. That there is an absolute problem in this country with that.
And guess
You're
what?
absolutely right. You nailed
and
it.
because of these guaranteed student loans, tuition is skyrocketing.
Yep.
To ridiculous numbers. So how about we figure out how to get young people off that chain where they can't pay off this debt because they can't make enough and the interest keeps accruing. And then for the future, we say, you're not guaranteed a loan. Nope. Sorry. Then these schools are going to be like, we're losing students. What do? You got to lower your tuition rates.
Yes,
and then
yep.
people can start working to pay off. We also need to foster a culture of when people are young to build hobbies, to get involved. Look, when I was a little kid, I built a computer when I was 8.
Dope.
I started doing just messing around on the computer, programs, going online. I started doing game programming with like Flash and stuff when I was probably 12.
Well, that's it though, right there. You just said it. That's the new hobby, is games. It's
Right,
video games.
So when I was a little kid, I was having fun making my own platformer game.
Right.
I made this game where you played a dude where the whole game was trying to make it through a factory that was producing these little monsters that would like try and bite you.
Fun.
And I seriously just would spend days like coding and programming. And once you get the base programming with a program like Flash, it's really easy to just drag and drop and build it.
Well, Tim, not everyone wants to learn how to code.
Yes. My point though is it was really easy for me to be like, why go to school?
Yeah.
I can find something and become good at it. So when I started, working on Flash and stuff like that, I figured it out. I reverse engineered other, files to figure out what made what work, and I just did it on my own.
Well, and that's actually the key. What do we have right here? We have this amazing thing called the internet. If I want to learn anything, I've been doing all this research. I'm not going to college to learn politics or law. I'm reading the actual laws, and I'm seeing what they're actually doing, and I'm learning from just reading and researching myself. Well, I'm not paying anyone for that. I'm getting paid for that. That's the best way to do it.
Let's be realistic about what college is doing right now. Today, an 18-year-old is told, you have to go to college to succeed. And they say, okay, what do I do? Take out $40,000 in debt and go to school. And they go, okay.
Yep.
Then they go to school and their teachers keep telling them that communism is the light, is the truth and the way.
Yeah.
And they start saying, wow, that's interesting. Then they leave college with massive debt they can't pay off. And they think, why can't I do this? Maybe my teachers were right. Communism is the way. And they vote for communists.
Yep.
And then that basically just destroys everything. Look, man, it's our own fault.
And we're seeing it right now. That's what's happening.
My theory based on this, because based on what my family members told me, is very simple. When I was told that in the boomer generation,
okay,
Not everybody went to college. You didn't have to, because the greatest generation had high school diplomas, got jobs, and were able to feed and support their families. So their kids grow up, and some of them go to college and most of them don't. But the ones that went to college by choice ended up making substantially more money.
Okay.
The boomer generation then started to believe the reason they made more money is because they went to college, period.
Right.
The reality was, if you don't have to go to college to succeed, but people chose to, it meant they were passionate about what they were chasing.
That's it right there. If you're passionate about it,
exactly,
you want to learn about it, and then your passion doesn't go away after you get out of college. You then get a job that you're passionate about.
Working hard, developing technology, and making a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if you were told you don't have to go to college to succeed, and everyone got jobs and they were doing well, then they noticed some people were doing really well. And what did they see? Oh, they went to college. That's what got them extra money. So they tell their kids, go to college, you'll make extra money.
Yep.
No, be passionate about a trade, a skill, a hobby, and you will make extra money.
Hey, so this reminds me of something, and I'm just going to interject here. But when they were figuring out that self-esteem was what kids really needed, they were looking at kids who had high self-esteem who then went on to succeed. And they said kids need to be told that they should have high self-esteem because this will help them succeed. When in reality, it was exactly like it is with college. The fact of the matter was that if you were already in possession of high self-esteem, you were going to do better in any case. Telling kids that they needed to have high self-esteem wasn't actually going to help them. So I see like a kind of an echo there, like earlier on when kids are younger.
You know what kids need?
They need a good, strong father.
Yes, but I also think stories help. I really do believe
realistic stories.
Not necessarily.
I don't know. Like, I think stories are part of the problem. We've been talking about how movies always show this negative entity that always exists in every single story. For a story to be something worthwhile, there's a negative entity that is always present. So it almost convinces everybody that that's the way life is. I think no, with what Lydia was just saying, that confidence comes from having a solid family that gives you like, look, I love you, child. You have the vindication. You have confirmation that you are loved. And they have that, and you get that from a solid family. Like, I got that. I know I'm loved. I don't need anyone else to tell me that I need love. I don't need to convince anyone either, because I know it, and that's part of confidence.
We need heroes.
Sure, yeah, definitely we need heroes.
If you just tell a kid all the time, they're the best, believe in yourself, well, then you get arrogance and ego, and even when they're bad, they'll just convince themselves they're good.
Okay.
What people need is to understand, if at first you don't succeed, try again. They need to understand that someone will always be better than you no matter what you're doing. It's a fact.
That's
like
true.
Skateboarding is such a great life-building culture.
Competition. That's the reason why we are in space right now. It's the reason we have gotten as far as we've gotten.
There are things I can do on a skateboard as a 34-year-old, like well past my skateboarding prime, that some of the best pros in the world cannot do.
Yep.
That doesn't mean I'm better than them. But at the top level of skateboarding, they don't even think they're the best. They're like, oh, but so-and-so is way better, because they look at the other things. The point is, you want to strive to be better than yourself. You want to every day do better than you did, than you were doing before.
Yes,
but
everyone is their own antagonist.
The thing I was bringing up with stories was not about heroes and villains. It was about literal heroes.
Okay.
It was about being told these lessons. Like, I'll defer to Static Shock. Like a really awesome show I watched when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It had diversity in it, but it was about this kid who got superpowers and then fought every day to do the right thing and to be better and to be a hero. And you want to be inspired. Look, if we told stories that the hero was the guy who went around burning down buildings and smashing windows and demanding communism, he's going to look for that to get, like social acceptance, to feel like he's part of, he's doing right. We want kids to believe that helping build a great society, planting trees whose shade they know they will never sit in, these are the things that make you heroic. Helping people, helping provide for them, striving to be better than yourself. So I've often thought about this in terms of like raising kids. How do you make sure that the kid doesn't become an arrogant or like just becomes someone who thinks they're entitled to it because they're the best? It's not so simple to just tell them to think they're better. It's a combination of factors to craft that into a young person.
That's true.
That's why I think heroes play a role in this, and it could be a real hero, a real person. You read their story of like, someone who fought really hard to finally be the first to do something. Maybe they weren't allowed. Maybe no one had done it before. No one believed in them. I love these stories where you have someone who everyone like mocks and belittles and makes fun of, and then all of a sudden they're a billionaire who like built the biggest company. You know, there's a lot of tech bros that are like this.
Yeah.
They were the losers in school and now they're super rich. It was all spite, you know. Now, I'm not saying the spite is a good thing. I'm saying we just have these stories that we should look up to people who overcame adversity and fought every day to be better, to build, succeed. And that's what we want to craft into people.
Definitely.
College does not do that.
You're definitely right on that.
College does the opposite of that.
Absolutely not.
I can't believe, man, what we see from some of these kids, what they believe with school. I'm going to graduate and I'm going to make all this money. And then they get out and they can't even find a job. So what do? I guess I'll vote Bernie because he's going to pay my bills. That's why when you see like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders saying straight up, like, we're going to pay your bills if you vote for us. I'm like, well, of course they'll vote for you if you try that.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, young people don't vote. Maybe it's better that young, naive people who just want for themselves aren't voting. They're free to if they choose to.
Yeah.
But it's no surprise to me that it's mostly older people that vote, and it's always been that way.
Yeah. And
Because
even still, it's not like every younger generation feels that way, because that's not true. I mean, I see plenty of younger generations that are conservative. There's conservatives across all age groups.
Yeah.
So, we see it.
I think most people in general are just uninitiated. Like the biggest political party didn't vote.
That was me until
Didn't vote. I didn't
6
vote.
months ago.
I didn't vote in 2016.
When I started the show, and now I'm very political. Now
But you
have
voted
a
in
general
2008,
understanding.
right?
For the first time and only
Right.
time.
Yep, me too.
Right.
And then 2012, I felt betrayed, and I was like, I'm not voting for this guy again. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to vote for Mitt Romney. And then 2016 came around, and I thought the exact same thing. I'm not voting for Donald Trump.
Yep.
I'm
Thanks
especially
Thanks for checking
not
out this
voting
clip
for
from
Hillary
the
Clinton.
Timcast
IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.